Good morning, algebra. It is April 13th. I hope you all had a wonderful spring break. Didn't get a bunch of annoying texts from me, which is always a plus, right? But today, this week, we're moving on to new content. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be challenging, but I know all of you are up to the challenge. So I need you to make sure that you have all your supplies. You need to watch these videos every morning. Then you need to watch the other videos that I link, and then you can finally start your IXL. So today we're going to be working on simplifying radical expressions. You have 2 success criterias, and we have 3 items on our agenda. At any point during this lesson, if you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to take more notes, if you need to just look at the problem for longer, just pause it, and you can always restart it or rewind or whatever later. All right, here we go. So here's your meme of the day: how you hold the remote when the batteries are getting low. I don't know about you guys, but I saw this and I automatically started dying laughing because this is totally me, and I still haven't replaced the batteries in my remote. All right, so we're going to start with a square root review. So these are some of your square roots. Remember that the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 400 is 20. You're going to need this page to go back and reference a lot. It would be a great idea to write it down yourself, or if you already have it memorized, that's awesome also. All right. So on page 300 in your Springboard book, this is the only page that we're going to be working on today. This explains how to simplify each radical. So as you can see here, we started with the square root of 75, which is irrational. So we need to figure out what numbers can multiply to get to 75, one of which needs to be a perfect square root. So we know that 75 can be divided by 25, and you get 3. 25 being our perfect square root. So that's why they have the square root of 25 times 3 underneath the radical. Then the square root of 25 is 5. So your final answer is 5 times the square root of 3. Square root of 3 is as low as that one goes. Okay. So it's the exact same thing in the other 2 explanations down here. So how they figured out that the square root of 72 was what could be split up between 36 and 2 is 72 divided by 36. And this is one of your perfect square roots. That's why you have to go back to it all the time. So, and that gave you 2. So we were good as golden to be able to use those. The square root of 36 is 6, and then 6 times the square root of 2 is your final answer. This is a more drawn out way to do it, but if you need it, you're welcome to use that method. All right, and lastly down here, so this one's a little bit different, as 7 times the square root of 12. So we need to do 12 divided by, let's see, 4 is a perfect square root, so we'll do that one. So that's 3, so 4 is our perfect square root. We always want to make sure that we can divide it by a perfect square root. So 7 stays on the outside and it's multiplying. So then you have 3 times 4 to get your 12. And then, so this kind of looks weird to me. So 7 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 3 is how they then got 7 times 2 times the square root of 3, which leaves you with your answer of 14 square root of 3. All right, so that's your example page. You can always go back and reference that at any point in time in your textbook or on this video. All right, so let's do some of these, try these here. So you should be taking these notes in your notebook or in your Springboard book as I am doing them on here. So our very first one that we have here, square root of 18. So I know that one of my square root, my perfect roots is 9, and 18 is divisible by 9. So 18 divided by 9 equals 2. So I can change this to the square root of 9 times 2, which is the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. The square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 2 is irrational, so we just leave it, and that is our answer. Okay, next problem here. So this time I have 5 times the square root of 48. Well, I know that 48 is divisible by 16, and that gives me 3. So again, 16 is one of my perfect square roots. If you didn't know that, you can go through and do 16 divided by 4. That didn't give you a whole number. 16 divided by 9, that would be your next perfect root. See if that gives you a perfect whole number answer out. So you just go through and you divide by your different square roots until you get one that comes out evenly. So 5 times the square root of 16 times 3, which is 5 times the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. 5 times 4 times the square root of 3. Square root of 3 is irrational, so we're leaving it. So your answer is 20 square root of 3. All right, let's move on to one more example here. So I have square root of 126. So I need to figure out 126 is divisible by which perfect square root? Well, it's divisible by 9, and that gives you 14. So the square root of 126, Square root of 126 can be written as square root of 9 times 14, which can be written as square root of 9 times the square root of 14, which is 3 square root of 14, which is your answer. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to a couple more examples. This is not in your Springboard book. This is just some extra examples. So you're going to need to make sure that you do these in your notebook. So these are examples when I was doing some problems in IXL that I saw. So I do 6 times, well, I know that 63 can be divided by 9, which is a perfect square, and I get 7. So 6 times 9 times 7 still gives me that 63. Then I'm going to go ahead and separate it out. Okay, I know that the square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 7 is irrational, so we leave it. 6 times 3 is 18 times the square root of 7, which is our answer. And again, if you want to pause these and try them on your own and then check your answers, that would be your best practice before you get to that IXL stuff. So again, 125 can be divided by 25, which is a perfect square, which gives me 5 out. So 3 times the square root of 25 times 5. 3 times the square root of 25 times the square root of 5. 3 times 5 times the square root of 5 leaves me with 15 square root of 5, which is our answer. All right, one more. Remember, if you want to try it on your own, go ahead and pause it, do it out, and then check your work when you're done. So 45 is divisible by 9, which is our perfect square root, and that gives us 5 out. So this can be written as 4 times the square root of 9 times 5, which if I separate that out, it looks like this. And then 4 times 3, because that's the square root of 9, times the square root of 5, that's irrational, we leave it, is 12 square root of 5. I know it's a bunch of fun, you guys. I wish I was there to have this fun with you, but I'm not. All right, so lastly, so here's your daily agenda that I need you to make sure you really pay attention for. I need you to do this every day. So number 1, watch the teacher recorded lesson, take notes in your Springboard book. Check, you did that. Watch the videos in the additional video section. So that would be this right here. I want you to really watch this. You only have to watch it until minute 4.47 for today. All right, So once you've watched those, then you can go ahead and work on this IXL lesson. At any point in time today that you need me, you need to text, email, message me on Schoology, or meet face-to-face with me on Google Meet. I am available from 8 to 3 p.m. every day. If you need me after that, send me a message and I will work with you. I promise, guys. I know this sucks. I know it's annoying, and there's nothing I can really do besides help you guys step by step through the way. Call me if you need me. I hope you have a wonderful day.